Skibidi Toilet vs. SpongeBob. Who wins? Welcome back to another episode of Who Would Win, where we determine the outcome of hypothetical battles between popular characters from various franchises. Now we've done several Skibidi Toilet episodes, but for whatever reason, people still don't seem to understand that this is a made-up fun series, not an actual fight. So let me put it out there again. This is not a real fight. Please don't get angry at me in the comments for hurting your favorite character. Also, if you're here to watch some intense battle action and a deep analysis of their fighting prowess, you're probably watching the wrong channel. This is obviously a parody, but enough about what this isn't. Let's get into what it is. In today's episode, we're taking a look at one of the most iconic cartoon characters of all time, SpongeBob SquarePants, the fry cook from Bikini Bottom who's always getting into wacky adventures with his friends. He's taken on the likes of Plankton, the Flying Dutchman, and even the wrath of God himself. But now he's going up against the ever-growing threat that is the Skibidi Toilet. So how would this go down? Who would win? Now, before we get into this battle, there are some obvious things that we have to address first. The Skibidi Toilet and its many forms has gone up against some pretty powerful opponents over the course of its reign of terror, but none of them are quite like SpongeBob. In fact, I can think of two very good reasons why SpongeBob is just an instant win for this series. First is the Skibidi Toilet is completely silent. All of its communication consists of flushing sounds and a robotic voice that sounds like a sped-up recording of a human male, whereas SpongeBob speaks in a somewhat understandable gibberish language. It's clear he is actually an actual sentient being. We know that because he can communicate with other people. I mean, sure, sometimes the Skibidi Toilet seems to use its mind powers to read people's minds or control their actions, which kind of implies some form of consciousness. However, I'm choosing to ignore that. If I were to acknowledge that, then I'd also have to acknowledge that the Flat Earth Skibidi Toilet is smarter than Stephen Hawking. And I refuse to do that, because SpongeBob can speak and communicate in a way that the Skibidi Toilet cannot. He's instantly the more powerful one. Second, the Skibidi Toilet and its past forms have shown no special abilities beyond its many different weapons and technology at its disposal. However, SpongeBob has used the power of friendship to defeat the likes of the Beast Boy, a literal god of evil. So even if we did somehow ignore the fact that SpongeBob is undoubtedly a sentient being, his sheer willpower alone is something that the Skibidi Toilet cannot overcome. But perhaps you're not satisfied with that answer. Maybe you want to see a bit more of an actual fight. Well, let's indulge you. After all, it is not like SpongeBob could possibly win by simply saying the word hi to the Skibidi Toilet. That would be too easy. For starters, the Skibidi Toilet is basically just a porcelain throne. SpongeBob would have to sneak up behind it while it's in one of its weaker forms, say the baby monitor Skibidi Toilet, which is hiding in the vents of the school and trying to lure away students one by one to transform them into Skibidi babies. Then after incapacitating the Skibidi Toilet, he'd have to get it somewhere remote so it wouldn't spread any kind of insanity virus to anyone else. And considering the insane speed and agility that SpongeBob displayed when racing against the snail Gary, SpongeBob should be able to take the Skibidi Toilet back to the bottom of the ocean where he and Patrick first found it. From there, SpongeBob could either bring it to the mercy of King Neptune or simply flush it down the nearest toilet. But of course, that assumes the Skibidi Toilet would actually agree to go there without a fight. There's always a chance it puts up a struggle. And that means we have to consider the possibility that the Skibidi Toilet could actually kill SpongeBob. As menacing as the Skibidi Toilet can be in its many different forms, we have to remember that it's never actually killed anybody yet. Well, technically, it did kill a cameraman, but that guy was only a minor character and it wasn't really a necessary kill. It was more of a spur-of-the-moment thing to establish how serious of a threat the Skibidi Toilet truly is. So if we took that moment out, then technically it has never killed anyone. What this tells us is that despite its many vicious and murderous attempts, the Skibidi Toilet has a natural hesitation to deal lethal damage. Why? I couldn't tell you. I'm not the creator of this thing. But what I do know is that SpongeBob has been willing to risk his life numerous times throughout the series to protect his friends, family, and the citizens of Bikini Bottom. Once, he allowed himself to be frozen in an iceberg so that he and Patrick could save the rest of their friends from the same fate. Another time, he convinced an army of hostile aliens to spare the life of his pet snail Gary. Even when faced with a world-ending situation, SpongeBob never once hesitated to stand up for what he believed in. And that is something the Skibidi Toilet simply couldn't overcome. Its malicious intent combined with SpongeBob's heroic determination would eventually lead to an epic showdown. A battle for the ages between good and evil, light and darkness, toilets and pants. As SpongeBob began throwing everything he had against the Skibidi Toilet, the tide of battle seemed to turn in his favor. He shot water balloons filled with his secret jellyfish stings at the Skibidi Toilet, momentarily stunning it. Then he whipped out his trusty spatula and got to work flipping the Skibidi Toilet over and over. But the Skibidi Toilet proved to be a tougher opponent than SpongeBob anticipated. It fought back with everything it had, blasting him with fire extinguishers and knocking him around with its metal legs. Still, SpongeBob pressed on, refusing to give up. And finally, when he saw an opening, he struck a critical blow. He flipped the Skibidi Toilet onto its back and stared it down. "Give up," he demanded. "You've caused enough pain and suffering. It's time to end this." The Skibidi Toilet struggled, trying to free itself from its predicament, but SpongeBob wouldn't let it. He stood firm, determined to see this through to the end. At that moment, SpongeBob knew he had to make a choice. He could either destroy the Skibidi Toilet, ending its reign of terror once and for all, or he could spare it, hoping that one day it would choose to do good instead of evil. Ultimately, though, the decision was taken out of his hands when the Skibidi Toilet, in a last-ditch effort to escape, activated its self-destruct mechanism. With a final blast of energy, the Skibidi Toilet was destroyed, leaving behind nothing but smoke and the faint smell of chlorine. SpongeBob, battered and bruised, but still standing, watched as the smoke cleared. He knew that he had won, but the victory felt bittersweet. The Skibidi Toilet was gone, but the damage it had done would never be forgotten. With a heavy heart, SpongeBob turned and walked away, leaving the ruins of the Skibidi Toilet behind him. So yeah, as cool as it might be to imagine SpongeBob fighting and defeating the Skibidi Toilet, we all know that the power of friendship and sentient thought are things that are just too powerful for this thing to overcome. I mean, come on, what would you have me do next? Put it up against Mr. Beast? That doesn't even seem fair. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, please leave a like. If you're new here and you like what you saw, consider subscribing. You'll be notified every time we upload a new video. Oh, and if you disliked it, that works too. It's alright. Not everyone's gonna like everything all the time. And you can also leave a comment below with your thoughts on the video. Just remember to stay classy, please. I will see you next time.